It begins quietly. No announcement, no signal, no grand arrival. Just the slow, steady murmur of voices you've never heard before, speaking words you never asked for. They don't know you. They've never met you. But they're talking about you, chosen one. Not with suspicion or confusion, but with admiration, with awe, with something like curiosity draped in reverence. Something about you has shifted the way they see the world around them, and your name, or the idea of you, is passing through the air like a frequency too subtle to touch, yet too powerful to ignore. This moment is sacred, because without you trying, striving, or even knowing, your energy has begun to travel. It has moved ahead of your body and entered rooms you've never stepped into. It's wrapped itself around conversations, around thoughts, around the emotions of strangers who feel something and don't even realize where it comes from. You have, without trying, become a subject of admiration, and not because of a single act or achievement, but because of your frequency. The signal you've begun to emit is not made of words, it's made of essence. Your high sexual energy, once perhaps scattered, wild, or untamed, has matured. It no longer leaks, it no longer seeks, it draws, it holds, it anchors. You have become the calm center in the storm of noise that surrounds so many people. And this calm isn't empty, it's alive, it's electric, it's potent in a way that turns heads even when you're not in sight. The world has begun to notice your presence even in your absence. And what is this energy that causes women to speak well of you before they've even shaken your hand? It is the residue of your inner transformation. You've stopped chasing, you've stopped proving, you've stopped performing, and instead you've begun to be, fully, quietly, powerfully. You've aligned with your truth, and that truth is now echoing far beyond your physical reach. People feel it, women feel it, and whether they know your face or not, your energy is being spoken into existence by their lips. This isn't about ego. This is about impact. This is about the realization that your life has become a living message, one that speaks for you even when you're not in the room. And what it says is this: there is a man who walks with integrity. There is a man who knows himself. There is a man whose energy does not hunger, but feeds, who doesn't take, but transforms, who doesn't chase, but awakens. Now, the question is not why they're speaking well of you. The question is, what will you do with the influence you now possess? Will you shy away from it, pretend it isn't real, dismiss it as coincidence? Or will you rise into it? Will you own it? Will you recognize that your presence has become a medicine, one that people are trying to name, trying to describe, trying to understand? This is not the time to be small, chosen one. You are being seen because you finally started seeing yourself, and the world is only reflecting what you've chosen to become. Let their words be confirmation, not temptation. Let them be fuel, not vanity. And, above all, stay grounded, because the influence you hold now is not for noise, it's for legacy. There is something quietly revolutionary about the man who doesn't need to announce himself. You've become that man, chosen one. You've stepped into a space where your power no longer relies on volume, where your magnetism doesn't come from strategy, but from stillness, where your name is being mentioned by strangers not because of what you've done to impress, but because of what you haven't needed to do at all. This is the chapter where you begin to understand the power of subtlety, the undeniable presence that hums beneath the surface of your every move. You no longer enter rooms to take over. You enter rooms and become the center without trying. Your posture speaks louder than declarations. Your eyes carry more weight than flattery. Your silence is louder than most men's speeches, and the world is noticing. Women especially feel this, because subtlety, when wielded from a place of truth, becomes intoxicating. You don't need to chase attention. You don't need to dress it up in cleverness or loud gestures. Your energy now flows in layers, calm at the surface, fire underneath. And that combination is what captivates, because it's not a performance. It's not manufactured. It's earned. Through years of self-reflection, through nights of restraint, through decisions no one saw, but that changed everything about who you are. You've stopped leaking energy. You've stopped needing to be understood in every moment. You've learned the sacred art of letting your presence speak before you do. This is subtlety, not as a tactic, but as a way of life. You move with deliberation. You speak with care. You carry yourself with the quiet confidence of a man who knows exactly what he brings to the table and knows that not everyone deserves a seat at it. And now, women are saying good things about you without knowing your story. Why? Because your energy tells it for you. Because your way of being invites respect before it invites curiosity. Because your stillness awakens longing, not confusion. Because your subtlety makes you feel safe, strong, unchanging. In a world addicted to drama and spectacle, your restraint has become an entire language. This isn't about being passive. Far from it. It's about being precise. You've stopped chasing every moment. You've started choosing your moments. You've become a man whose desire no longer overpowers his presence. And that presence, finely tuned, deeply felt, changes everything it touches. Subtlety allows you to move like wind, unseen but felt on every inch of the skin. It allows you to stay in control, to observe, to choose, not from a place of fear, but from a place of embodiment. And because of this, your reputation is growing without effort. Your name is traveling without force. You have become what the world didn't even know it was missing, until now. You are the chosen one. And now, without even needing to speak loudly, you are being heard everywhere. It's not always what you say or what you do that lingers in people's minds, chosen one. Sometimes, it's the way you exist, the way you carry yourself through life, the way your energy wraps around a moment and reshapes the air, even if you never speak a word. You've reached a point in your transformation where people now feel you before they understand you. They talk about you before they meet you. They compliment you without context. Because something in your alignment echoes beyond the limits of introduction. The truth is, people can feel when someone is in alignment with themselves. There's no need to explain it or broadcast it. It shows in the way you walk, how you respond instead of react, how you navigate chaos without becoming it. Your name is being spoken in positive tones by women you've never met, not because of what you're doing, but because of what you've become. It's your energy now doing the work. It travels through word of mouth, through memory, through instinct. It spreads like heat from a fire that's been quietly burning long enough to warm the entire landscape. And the reason they speak well of you is because of what your presence reminds them of. Something ancient, something safe, something intimate. You've aligned your inner world with your outer behavior. There's no longer a fracture between who you say you are and who you really are. That integrity is rare. It is priceless. It is what draws admiration even from afar. What women feel and speak about is not just your attractiveness, it's your clarity. Your ability to move through the world without selling yourself, without needing to be louder than necessary, without taking shortcuts for approval. They sense that you've made peace with your masculinity, and that peace gives them permission to relax. You're not posing, you're not performing, you're present. And your presence doesn't ask for permission. It simply fills the space with something honest and powerful. This alignment you've stepped into is not shallow, and it didn't arrive overnight. It came through fire, through solitude, through choices made when no one was watching. It came through the commitment to elevate not just your body or your voice, but your entire frequency. And now that frequency is a song that plays quietly in the hearts of strangers. Women hear it. Even if they don't know you, they feel something. And when they speak about you, they're not just describing a person. They're responding to an energy signature that has made its mark on the collective air. They wonder who you are. They say things like, "He's different," or "I don't know why, but he feels rare." And they're right, you are rare. Because you've done what most won't. You've aligned desire with discipline, presence with power, and sexuality with spiritual responsibility. That kind of alignment is not temporary. It doesn't fade with fashion or trend. It deepens, it sharpens, it echoes. You are no longer just a man in a world of many. You are a living reflection of what is possible when a man becomes rooted in who he really is. And that reflection has begun to move through the collective like a myth people can feel, even if they can't name it. You are the chosen one, and your alignment speaks louder than 1,000 voices ever could. Something has happened to you and they know it. They feel it, they talk about it, but they can't quite put their finger on what it is, and that's precisely why they're drawn to it. You've become mystery in motion, chosen one. A living question that doesn't demand an answer, but invites curiosity with every breath you take. In a world obsessed with being seen and understood instantly, you've become the opposite. You are not a spectacle. You are not a presentation. You are a presence. And because of that, you're not easy to decode. You don't offer all your energy at once. You don't give everything away in the first glance. You don't reveal yourself like a book meant to be skimmed. You are layered, controlled, alive with depth that refuses to rush to the surface. That mystery, that refusal to be immediately captured, is what has women speaking about you, even if they've never stood close enough to hear your heartbeat. They feel it in the way your energy doesn't chase, in the way your gaze holds intensity without urgency, in the way you walk into a room without needing to own it, yet somehow shift it. They may not know you, but they sense you, and that sensation lingers in their thoughts like a question they want to return to over and over again. This is not game playing. It's not withholding for the sake of control. It is the natural effect of a man who has reclaimed his own attention. You no longer pour yourself into everyone. You no longer feel the need to be immediately understood. You've stopped explaining your depth to shallow minds, and that quiet refusal to be easily grasped has become your signature. Women talk about you because you are felt, not just seen, and because you do not throw yourself into every opportunity, every conversation, every flirtation. They find themselves wanting to know more. They say there's something about him, and they're right. That something is your sovereignty. That something is your refusal to collapse into noise. That something is your quiet confidence in the fact that you know who you are, and not everyone needs to be invited into that knowing. This is what makes you unforgettable. You offer connection without clinging. You offer energy without urgency. You offer your presence like a well for those who are truly thirsty for something real. And because of that, people talk. They wonder, they admire, and they return to the mystery of you, not to solve it, but to feel it again. You are not aloof. You are deliberate. You are not unavailable. You are selective. And in a world that glorifies overexposure, your privacy has become power. They are not stunned because you flaunt yourself. They are stunned because you don't have to. You've become the man whose name lives in the space between conversation, the man who lingers in their thoughts longer than expected, the man whose very restraint is more seductive than the loudest advances of those trying to be everything you already are. Without trying, you are the chosen one. And now, you've become the kind of mystery they don't want to solve. They just want to feel it one more time. You've likely noticed it now, chosen one, that you no longer walk through the world the same way you used to. Where you once carried energy that was scattered, seeking, and at times unaware of its own weight, you now carry something sacred, something more refined, more potent, more revered. And it's not just something others feel, you feel it too. Within your breath, within your pace, within the way your thoughts have quieted. What once burned chaotically now burns purely. This is the point where your high sexual energy becomes more than magnetism. It becomes reverence. You feel it in the way you approach people, not with hunger, but with calm intention. You feel it in how your gaze no longer scans, but rests, in how your touch no longer takes, but invites, in how your silence is no longer awkward, but alive. You've stopped leaking your power in directions unworthy of it. You've stopped using your energy to prove something. You've stepped into the kind of maturity where your very presence is enough, and people feel that. Women feel that, especially women who are attuned to something deeper than appearance or performance. They might not know you, they may have never shared a word with you, but they speak about you because your energy leaves a trace. Not because you impressed them, but because you impacted them. Not because you chased them, but because your restraint made space for something rare, real respect. There's a quiet shock that happens when a woman encounters a man who sees her without agenda, who notices her beauty without turning it into currency, who acknowledges her femininity without needing to consume it. And that's what you've become now. A presence that reflects reverence, not possession. You no longer use your energy to overwhelm. You use it to illuminate. You no longer take. You witness. And that shift has not gone unnoticed. Women who don't know your name feel the weight of that reverence. They might not be able to articulate it, but they feel more grounded after being near you. More seen, more real. And even if your interaction was brief or even silent, they carry the experience in their nervous system. They speak about you with softness because your energy didn't demand. It blessed. It didn't manipulate. It moved. It didn't seek validation. It offered clarity. This is why they speak highly of you. Not because you tried to be memorable, but because you made them feel something worth remembering. And it wasn't about power over them. It was about presence with them. You gave them a moment where they could breathe more fully, where they could feel safe in their own skin, where they didn't have to guard their expression. That kind of presence, rooted in reverence, is magnetic in a way that outlasts charm, looks, or even words. You are no longer walking with fire you don't understand. You are walking with a torch of awareness. You've taken what was once wild and given it direction. You've learned to hold your energy without gripping it, to offer it without depleting yourself, to embody it without distorting it. And that embodiment is what people are responding to now, even those who have never met you. You are the chosen one, and your energy is no longer something you use. It is something you honor. You didn't set out to raise the bar, chosen one. That was never the plan. You were just trying to find peace, trying to become whole, trying to stop breaking yourself into pieces to fit into boxes that were too small for your soul. But along the way, through your decisions, your restraint, your presence, you become something more than just admired. You've become the standard. Not a loud, self-declared one. Not a standard built on ego or comparison, but an unspoken one. A man whose energy doesn't shout, "Look at me," but whose silence asks, "Can you match this?" A man whose boundaries are not defenses, but sacred filters. A man who is no longer accessible to chaos, to inconsistency, to half-truths or shallow masks. And because of that, your energy has become defining. Others feel the need to level up just to stand next to you. This is why women speak of you without even knowing your full story. They feel your presence and realize, sometimes painfully, that they've been settling for less. That they've been surrounded by men who don't listen, who rush, who avoid depth, who confuse confidence with volume. And then they encounter you. A man who looks into their eyes and sees, not analyzes. A man who listens not to respond, but to understand. A man who makes no promises, but whose presence feels like one. You didn't ask to become the example, but your devotion to your own growth made it inevitable. Your energy has now created contrast. You don't just show up, you change the atmosphere. You don't react, you respond from truth. You don't flatter, you affirm with presence. And because you do these things quietly, without asking for praise, your energy becomes a mirror. Women start to wonder why you feel different. They talk about it, they name it, even if they don't fully understand it. And slowly, unknowingly, you've raised the bar for what they expect. Not just from men, but from themselves. This kind of influence isn't controlled, it's embodied. It happens when you walk in alignment for so long that people can't help but adjust their steps to match yours. It happens when your no carries more gravity than others' yes, when your attention becomes more nourishing than someone else's affection, when your gaze, your stillness, your silence say more than another man's entire conversation. You've become the standard because you're no longer trying to be someone, you're simply being what is real. And that realness has become the rarest form of seduction. This isn't about being perfect. You're not. You're still growing, still refining. But your direction is clear. Your energy is clean. Your choices are intentional. And those things create a level of attraction that doesn't flare up and disappear. It deepens over time. It lives in memory. It echoes in the hearts of those who felt your presence. So now, when women speak well of you, without ever having known your name, they're not complimenting a man. They're honoring an energy that reminded them of what is possible, of what is real, of what they deserve to feel, and most importantly, of what they want to rise to meet. You are the chosen one, and the standard you've become can no longer be unseen. It can only be matched or missed. There comes a moment, chosen one, when your voice no longer needs to be raised, when your movements become deliberate, when your presence communicates more than conversation ever could. That moment is here. You've stepped into the dimension of existence where energy precedes words, where silence becomes more magnetic than flattery, and where your very existence creates shifts in people you've never even met. And what's more, women are noticing, speaking, smiling at something they haven't even touched, but feel as though it brushed against their soul. Your energy now speaks on your behalf. It arrives before you and lingers long after you've gone. It weaves itself into the air like a sacred whisper and makes others feel like they just encountered something rare, even if they can't put a name to it. And that is the power you now carry. Not because you asked for it, not because you chased it, but because you allowed it to grow within you, quietly, intentionally, day after day, when no one else was watching. You no longer walk with the noise of men trying to prove something. You walk with the clarity of a man who knows his worth, but has no need to announce it. You've stopped over-explaining yourself. You've stopped apologizing for your standards. You've stopped giving energy to things that drain you. That quiet self-possession, that absolute control over your emotional and energetic field is what makes others feel compelled to speak about you. Even if they don't know your name, even if they've never looked you in the eyes. It's not the tone of your voice that draws them in. It's the tone of your spirit. It's the depth of your breath, the stillness behind your gaze, the way your body moves with purpose, not performance, the way you hold space without trying to own it. You've become less of a character and more of a feeling, one that lingers like music long after the song has ended. Women speak well of you because your energy doesn't grab. It guides. It doesn't plead. It plants seeds. It doesn't overwhelm. It opens. You've mastered the art of making people feel seen without staring, heard without interrupting, felt without touching. And that mastery has turned your very presence into something sacred. They feel you because you feel yourself. You've built a relationship with your own mind, your own body, your own emotional waves. You know what it means to sit in silence without the fear of what might arise. You've listened to your own thoughts long enough to understand them. You've held space for your own pain long enough to respect the pain of others. And now, when someone enters your field, they feel that maturity, that calm, that gravity. This is why your energy speaks louder than your words. Because it's built on a foundation that others can't fake. Because it is woven into your breath, your walk, your stillness, your responses. Because it is real, and people, especially women, crave what is real more than they even realize. They speak about you because for a moment they felt seen, felt safe, felt stirred, and they want more of that, even if they never see you again. You are the chosen one, and now your presence says everything before you even speak. There's a curious contradiction that now follows you, chosen one. Your calmness makes people feel everything. It's not intensity that stirs the world around you anymore. It's your centeredness. You walk into a space with your energy coiled, not spilled. Your breath steady, not shallow. And yet that calm makes hearts beat faster. Not because of fear or confusion, but because your calmness is clarity, and clarity is rare in a world that runs on noise. You have become the man who makes people pause, who makes them lower their voice without even asking, who makes them reconsider their pace, their words, their masks. Because there is something so still, so grounded, so clear in your being that it commands both curiosity and reverence. Not because you're trying to command anything, but because you've built an inner world that no longer trembles when the outer world shifts. Women especially are not used to this. They're used to being impressed by effort, entertained by noise, surrounded by projection. But you, chosen one, offer none of that. You offer truth. You offer depth without demand. You offer connection without urgency. And it's disarming, not because it's invasive, but because it's true. They feel safe. They feel seen. They feel called into their own softness without being told to soften. Your calmness is not weakness. It is not disinterest. It is not detachment. It is power tamed, fire contained, desire disciplined. You could reach, but you choose to remain. You could dominate, but you choose to lead with awareness. You could chase, but you choose to draw in. That choice, over and over again, has built your presence into something sacred. Something that holds impact without pressure. And this is why people talk about you even when they don't know you. This is why your name gets passed between lips that haven't heard your voice. Because your calm energy lingers, it enters nervous systems and rewires what attention used to feel like. It breaks the cycles of attraction built on chaos and replaces them with resonance, with rest, with a feeling they didn't even know they missed. You've become the man who doesn't startle women into interest, but awakens them into recognition. They don't remember your face as much as they remember how they felt in your energy. The ease, the curiosity, the unexpected safety. You are no longer participating in the loud competition for attention. You are the invitation to stillness. And stillness, when paired with power, is the most unforgettable thing a man can offer. You're not rushing to the next moment anymore. You've learned to inhabit the one you're in, to bring your full awareness into it, to allow others to unfold without pushing, to allow connection to deepen without chasing. You've made calmness not a lack of energy, but the focus of it. And because of that, people gravitate toward you, even if they can't explain why. You are the chosen one, and your calm doesn't make you invisible, it makes you unforgettable. Somewhere between the silence you chose and the fire you tamed, something happened, chosen one. You became the one they whisper about. Not because of scandal, not because of spectacle, but because your presence did what most men's words never could. It left a lasting mark on their soul. It's not just the way you enter a room now, it's what the room becomes when you do. There's a shift, subtle yet unmistakable, that says someone different has arrived. Not someone who demands attention, but someone who commands space with his breath alone. Someone who isn't speaking to be heard, but who could change the course of the conversation with a single glance. You didn't ask for this, but you earned it. You didn't plan to become unforgettable, but you lived in such a way that made it inevitable. Your energy now lives in places you haven't physically been. A woman mentions you to her friends not because she knows you, but because she felt you. She remembers the way your gaze didn't wander when she spoke, the way your energy didn't pull or push but held. She remembers how her nervous system calmed just from standing near you. You didn't need to touch her. You didn't need to say the perfect words. What she remembers is the way she could feel herself more fully in your presence. And because of that, your name has traveled far beyond your reach. You are the story she tells when explaining the kind of man she never thought existed. You are the example used to contrast those who only know how to perform masculinity, not embody it. You've become the one women use to reset their standards. Because after encountering you, the noise, the games, the confusion of shallow attention can no longer satisfy them. And even if they never see you again, they've been touched by something sacred. Your alignment, your steadiness, your unshakable self-respect. This didn't happen by accident. This happened because you stopped showing up halfway. You stopped speaking when silence was more honest. You stopped proving your worth to people who hadn't earned your story. You learned to value your energy like royalty, not with arrogance, but with discernment. You realized that just because you can offer your presence doesn't mean everyone deserves to experience it. You stopped giving pieces of yourself to people who wouldn't recognize the gift. And when you made that decision over and over again, your energy began to change. It deepened, it became rarer, it became cleaner. And in a world full of fractured men and unintegrated ambition, that clean presence stood out like gold against gravel. People noticed, women especially. And now they talk, not because of what you did for them, but because of who you allowed them to be around you. You're no longer just a man. You are a mirror, a mystery, a memory. You are the chosen one. And now they don't just want to meet you. They want to meet themselves again, through the reflection you left behind. There comes a sacred shift in a man's life when he realizes that the most powerful parts of himself are no longer for sale. That his attention, his presence, his sacred sexual energy, his quiet brilliance, they are no longer offerings made for the sake of being chosen. They are gifts. And gifts chosen one are not handed to just anyone who asks. They are offered where there is respect, where there is depth, where there is readiness. You've reached that point now. The energy that once sought validation now seeks resonance. The passion that once looked for release now looks for expansion. You no longer walk through the world wondering if you are enough. You walk through it wondering if someone can meet you where you are. That's not arrogance. That's not superiority. That's a man who has finally become the gift he used to chase outside himself. This is why women speak so highly of you. even the ones who don't know you, who haven't shared a moment or memory because they feel the frequency of someone who no longer needs to be seen. You've become the man whose value isn't measured in words or reputation, but in the silence that follows after your presence. The kind of man who doesn't need to try because being is enough. You're not trying to impress anymore. You're not performing. You're not using your energy to manipulate. You're holding it, carrying it with grace, choosing how and where to share it. You've become the man who can sit across from someone and listen, not just with his ears, but with his body. The man who knows the difference between impulse and intuition, between chemistry and compatibility, between attention and devotion.